Good morning, everybody. Keith Engel, TGI Sports Talk. Are you serious? I'll be joined in a few moments by my co-host, the Mad New Yorker. How's everybody doing on this really beautiful fall Friday morning? At least it is here in the great Northeast. We hope it is for you as well. Oh, a lot of sports news going on. We're going to dive into a lot of stuff today. Major League Baseball wildcard rounds, a little bit about the new formatting, and I don't know. I got a couple of gripes, I guess. We'll pick the winners of the wild card rounds, and I guess next week when we meet, we'll have a chance to have a head start on the division series, and when we make predictions for that, maybe we can make them today. We'll look at the NFL. We'll look and see which 3-1 teams are for real, who might be a mirage, and what 1-3 teams might still have a chance, if any. It isn't a death sentence to be 1-3 at this point in the NFL. And college football, we'll look at our must-watch games for this coming weekend. Thank you to all or welcome to all the Facebook and Twitter and YouTube fans watching live this morning. We'll also be on Roku at, time are we on? 10 o'clock today. We'll repeat this show on Monday and Tuesday next week. Also, check out the College Football Huddle, which will play on Roku at 11:30 this morning as well. The show we did on Wednesday night. A lot of great participation by the audience that night. So thank you for all of that. Thank you to all the groups that let me share it. And to you guys who just don't like the show, guys, don't watch it. You know, I have fun doing this. I'm not making a gazillion dollars here. I got a real job, and I'm here for fun. If you just want to troll, have fun. Do it at somebody else's expense, guys. I don't have time or the effort to deal with you guys. Although the groups that I share to, you guys have been awesome. All of you. Those few guys that don't like the show, don't watch. You're not hurting my feelings. Anyway. As I said, the Mad New Yorker will join us in a few minutes. We're going to dive in today, and I guess I'll get started here since he's a few minutes late. Guys, and we welcome your comments, obviously. So good morning to anybody a few people have joined the room so far, and we'll look for some comments as we go forward. We're going to get started with the Major League Baseball. I got to get back to the right. Here comes the Mad New Yorker now. Let me get this up, and we will bring him in just a second. How come I can't find there we go. Oh, let me bring in a Mad New Yorker. Good morning, Carlos.
Good morning, Keith. How you doing? Happy Friday, guys.
Friday is upon us. A busy weekend in sports, Carlos, as I just prepped them for the Major League Baseball wildcard round. First ever to be 3 games with a new format, which I want to chat about a little bit. We'll pick our winners and some interesting stories maybe in each one of these series, and we'll get into the NFL a little bit and some college football. Oh,
sounds good.
By the way, and we'll talk about this later, these Thursday night games, those two teams set football back 60 years, offensive football back 50 years last night.
You want to start there, or you want to hit that up?
Well, let's wait till we get to the NFL.
Because I have a lot to say about that too.
God, how atrocious, for crying out loud. Anyway, let's jump in. Let's start with the Major League Baseball playoffs. Obviously, locally, the Mets didn't win their division. They finished tied with the Braves and lost the tiebreaker by a game. That series last weekend was the nail in their coffin, as we were afraid it might be. But just to go over a couple of things that guys may not know about this playoff series, the whole playoff format has changed so much. The wild card rounds it's 3 games, 2 out of 3, obviously, all the better teams' record. So I believe it's the Mets, the Cardinals, the Rays, and the Guardians are all playing at home, I believe.
That's correct.
Secondly, no reseeding when you get to the next round, the division series. There is no reseeding. So the Astros don't get the worst team left. It's already set.
Right.
For instance, the Yankees get the winner of the Tampa Bay, who they playing? I forgot.
Guardians.
Guardians series, right. So that's a big deal. And that's one I have a little bit of a gripe with. The LDS. Oh, and by the way, less days off too. So there's no
Right.
days off during this wild card.
Right.
The LDS and the championship series, there'll be days off after the first 2 games, but then they play straight through.
Right.
3 straight, and they play 5 straight, I believe, if I wrote this down right. In the National League and American League Championship Series, there'll be a couple days off after the first 2 games, but they're going to play 5 straight games. That makes a big difference on pitching staffs, obviously.
Yeah.
The baseball teams aren't used to playing every day. But those are a couple of interesting quirks in this new system. Plus, you got buys in this first round, so teams have got basically a week off. The Yankees, the Astros, the Dodgers, and the Braves. Now that could work to some teams' advantage. It could hurt some teams as far as momentum being broken and such. So anyway, any comments on any of that before we dive into some of these matchups? I'm not crazy about not reseeding the next round, by the way.
No, I mean, I like it in a sense where you don't know what you're going to get. And in the past, it was like you knew what you were going to get, especially with the reseeding, where the bigger team always plays the bottom tier team. And it didn't always work out for the better team anyways.
No.
But now it's even worse. Now it's a mental game. Now it's more about having your head straight, being ready to play every single day. Where, in reality, baseball players get that, they get a little bit, how can I say, they're playing every day, but they're not focused every single day on winning. They know that there's a game or two that they can slack off a little bit because it's not a playoff game, it's a regular game. And even if they wanted to take half the day off or half the game off, they would tell the coach the managers, and the managers would be like, yeah, we can give you the rest, you can start, but we'll give you, in the 4th inning, we'll take you out. It's not like that anymore. And they might have to do that during this series, right? You might see some guys come out in the 4th to 6th inning because they got a game the next game, and the manager's thinking, we got to keep these guys fresh because there's no days off, right? Yeah, so you're gonna see a lot of different small nuances that will affect the game, that will affect some of these teams, and the better teams will be able to adjust, and the teams that have less depth will not be able to make those adjustments. And I think that's where we're going to see the difference. And that's why I've been telling people, if you look at the batting averages, as much as pitching is very important, if you look at the batting averages this year, the top 4 or 5 teams, they don't rank in the top in hitting. They rank in between the top 10, but they don't rank in the top half. So that means that you don't have depth in hitting. All of the Mets, but I'm going to get back to the Mets in a second, and that's going to affect the way that these games are played. Now, getting back to the Mets, everybody keeps saying, "Oh, well, they didn't do that well in during the trading deadline. They didn't pick up
101 games, for crying out loud."
Yeah, they won 101 games, and that's only 4 teams within the playoffs have won 100 plus games. So those teams,
34 years they won 100 games,
will have an advantage. I mean, to me, like when they say that the Mets lack hitting, if you saw the last 3 games the Mets played, the whole roster actually bumped up their batting average because all of them got hits. Now, it's the last 3 games of the season, but the mentality there is that they don't need another player to get the hits. They have the team, so they have enough on the team and potential to make things happen and to get those hits. That's for the Mets. For the Yankees, I was a bit upset, even though Judge got his 62nd and Cole got his wins. I feel like the Yankees should have made it a point to win the game because that's part of what the attitude should be going into the playoffs. It's like you got to win to get a winning mentality to move forward, and these accomplishments are great for Judge and Cole. I'm not taking nothing away from that, but I think Boone did a disservice to both of them by losing those games, especially to the Texas Rangers. And then that might not make it a big deal, but again,
he needs to worry about the Texas Rangers. He needs to worry about the New York Yankees. He needs to worry about.
No, what I'm saying is that you don't. If you're saying you're one of the best teams in Major League Baseball, you don't lose the last game when you had the opportunity to win it.
Doesn't matter.
So that to me, that bothered me more than anything because I'm like, you're the Yankees. You should have just won that game and got the accomplishments. But again, that's a personal perspective and a personal feeling. And I feel like that might affect them as far as getting having a winning mentality and a winner's edge, which they lack.
Well,
they've been lacking. So that's where I'm coming in with that. But again, we're gonna see. They don't have that much depth, so the Yankees are gonna be tested for sure.
My only problem with that 162nd game is I would have played Judge and give him a chance at the batting crown. That's the only reason I would have played him, and he would have had to go, I don't know, 5 for 5, and Raza would have had to go 0 for 5 or something. I don't know what it was.
Right. But Raza, I feel like
that game, the momentum doesn't matter anymore because they've got a week off. Momentum's gone anyway. And to Kenny's question about how does a week off hurt you, it can hurt you. It can help you because you get healthy and get your pitching lined up. That's all good. But baseball players are used to playing every day.
It's a conditioning. It's a mentality. Yeah.
Correct. And to have a day off, that's one thing, even 2 days. But to have almost a week off is going to be a challenge for these 4 teams to kind of get that edge back when they get back a week.
I think it will help the Astros. I think it will help the Braves. And I think it's a detriment to the Yankees and to the Dodgers. And I'm saying that because they all have good hitters on the team, but they're not a good hitting team. So that's where that comes into play. And then like the Dodgers, they won 111 games, but they're riding the backs on if you look at the hitting averages per team, they're riding the backs on 3 or 4 players that are averaging over 270, and then the rest of the team is below 250. So, that makes a difference in the end of the game,
And there's a lot of difference in these teams, Kenny. I mean, from top to bottom. I mean, if you take the Dodgers and you take the Phillies, they're certainly 2 totally different teams. They're both in the playoffs and they both have been there, right? But just look at what they did in the regular season. I mean, the Dodgers probably won 20 more games than the Phillies. And
the Phillies have to be careful. They just got Wheeler back a few months ago. He ended the season, very well, but again, you're throwing him out there. He's your ace, and you're hoping for the best, but you could get the flip side of that,
And to Alan's point, maybe a young team like the Guardians. The Guardians are a very young team. I think it's best that they keep playing, and they may be able to get some momentum through this wild card round and maybe catch the Yankees sleeping, let's say, because of that layoff. We'll see. At least in the first game or 2. After that, it shouldn't matter. But.
And people forget, don't sleep on the Guardians. Cleveland took it to Tampa Bay less than a few weeks ago, like in the middle of September. Beginning of September, middle of September, when they had that series, the Cleveland Guardians were on them, and they made them work. And they made, they didn't sweep them, but they played them hard, and it didn't look good for Tampa Bay then. People were debating whether they were even going to get that playoff spot in the beginning of September, right? Yeah. So, don't sleep on the Guardians. They are they're right now they're hot. They're putting Bieber up against Wheeler. And Wheeler, this is going to be Bieber's first playoff appearance. Yeah, first playoff appearance, and he's okay, but we're going to see how good he really is, right? So that's what you do. This is why they're in the playoffs, and you put your number 1 guy out there, and he's the man, and we'll see if he can, between him and Wheeler, that's going to be the toss up there. Which guy is going to have the better mentality and the better stuff, and that's going to be fun to watch these guys pitch for their respective teams. So.
Yeah, to Alan's point, I'm not crazy about the Yankees possibly getting the Guardians in the second round because they are a team that would scare me a little bit just because of the unknowns. And to Kenny's point, I'm not sure which one of us talked out of both sides of our mouth. I know I said I didn't care about game 162. It doesn't matter to me. But I don't know. Maybe he said something that he was talking about. I'm not sure.
Yeah, when they play it, so what happens is when they play every day, they have a different mentality, knowing that that's not a playoff game. That's not a game that they're going to necessarily have to go all out sometimes because they're playing the 3 or 2 or 3 game series. And if they won the first 2 games, then they know that they can take it. The manager can take them out. And that's not going to be the same when it comes here to the playoffs because there's no breaks. So,
and to answer Kenny's other question, how many World Series have the Dodgers won? They have won 7 World Championships, the last being in 2020, the COVID season. So before that, it was 1988. So a couple things. So let's start with a couple of the series real quick. The Mets and the Mets and good grief,
Padres.
Listen, the Padres are 2 games over 500 since the trading deadline. They've not put it together. Their pitching's been better than I thought it would be. I said they won't win because of their pitching. The pitching's been better than I would have expected. I think the Mets pitching gives them a big edge here. They have to, the lineup has got to come through more than just McNeil and Alonso and Lindor. Somebody else. And the third baseman, he's hit pretty well the last month and a half to Escobar. What's his? Is that right?
The third baseman, Escobar. Yeah,
Escobar. What I don't get, I think Buck is trying to outthink himself. He's thinking too far ahead. Never think ahead. Always worry about winning the next game. For him to say, if the Mets win game 1, I'm not going to pitch DeGrom, and I'm going to hope we can wrap it up in 2 games. To me, you end that series as quickly as possible. I know what he wants to do. He wants to line up DeGrom to pitch game 1 against the Dodgers. But you can't take a chance on losing a game that you would have won and then roll the dice on a decisive game 3 with DeGrom pitching. You got to pitch him in game 2. I think he's overthinking this.
Yeah. Well, so there's a few things behind that, and I kind of understand what Buck's trying to do. Not overthinking the situation, but trying to fall into the right situation. So it's Scherzer versus Darvish, and right now the Mets have the positive in that game because even even one of the umpires that Darvish has pitched with has given him a over 3 ERA when he pitches, and that umpire's back there. So that's something that we have to look at. Is he going to be comfortable with that ump back there, throwing how he throws, and he can get erratic, later in the innings. So in the later
Darvish is that's his problem. I mean, he's a great pitcher. He's pitched really well this year. He hasn't pitched less than 6 innings since like the middle of May. So he's pitched very well.
Yeah, and I don't expect him to go past 6, but he could. He definitely has the potential to do that. So, but and with Scherzer out there, you're going to get at least 5. So 4 tops, 5 maybe. And 6 if he's doing that well, fine. But with the
7 in this game, I'll bet
it just depends.
If he doesn't,
it also depends on the weather. So we got to take that into consider. And mentioning the weather, I feel like maybe that's what Buck wants to do. Is that he knows that there's enough in the roster to hold DeGrom off and get him in a warmer climate where DeGrom is better. DeGrom plays better. He's from Florida. He plays better in warmer climate, and if he has to go to LA and pitch to the Dodgers, he'll be better probably pitching away than pitching at home in colder weather. Yeah. And that's something that comes into play. But Buck should just be focused on the next few days.
You pitch your best pitcher that day, and DeGrom would be their best pitcher that day.
But if you hold him off, you're not hurting DeGrom. Essentially, you're not really hurting him if you don't.
DeGrom, you're hurting your team if you don't try to wrap it up in 2 games with your.
But they have a few pitchers that can. I feel that they can push them through the 3 games. So holding off DeGrom is not. It hasn't hurt the Mets at all this season. Holding them off, so
forget about the season. It's the play. It's a different animal.
Well, it's different now. It's different now. You have to win now, but
it's all about winning the next game. And now you can't think ahead. You think ahead of series. That's how you lose the series you're in.
Keith, what if DeGrom pitches 8 innings and the Mets still lose 3-1? Because that's one of the problems with DeGrom being on the mound is that the run support hasn't been there when he's there. So it's not overthinking it. It's like getting your players to be on ready to go, and you have to. The rest of the team has to play offense. It's not just having your pitcher out there throwing the best game of his life.
But you put your best guy with a chance to win that day on the mound.
The problem is that it hasn't worked for DeGrom and the Mets. That's the issue that they have. He almost didn't get a Cy Young because even though he had great games, he didn't have no support. Well, and Buck knows that. Buck understands that.
What does that got to do with whether?
It has a lot to do. You can throw an ace out there. He could do good for five innings, and then all of a sudden, there's no hits, and you're behind, and you don't even lose by a lot.
Ball right now, Padres got 3 guys who can hit the ball right now. If the Mets pitch Scherzer,
you can walk them though. You can walk those 3 guys, and nobody's behind them. That's the beauty of the Padres. You can walk 3 guys, and then the other 4 are going to mess up. You can outpitch those guys.
Yeah, but Bassett hasn't pitched well against them all year. Bassett
hasn't played a good month, But if you go before that, Bassett's an okay pitcher. He'll be okay. He will have the opportunity to win games. It's a different mindset when DeGrom is on the mound for some reason, and they have to get over that hump. If not, they're not going to make it past this first round.
Here's my prediction. Mets win in 2 if he's smart enough and pitches DeGrom in game 2. If he doesn't, all bets are off. The Padres could upset them in 3 games. Because your prediction about him not getting support could come true in the deciding 3rd game, and then what? You're done. So pitch him. If you're going to, at least if he gets no support in game 2, they got another game to come back and win.
That you can play that. You can play that card as well. I don't feel like it's going to go past the 2 games. No matter who's on the mound. To be honest with you, you can put anybody out there, no matter who's on the mound, because the Padres have showed their hand. You know how they play. You know who they have batting.
Carlos, these guys could get hot. You don't know. You pitch your best pitchers when they're available.
Yeah. Okay. Again, like if you're forced to pitch to these guys, Machado, what's his name? I can't remember his name. Soto, and then who's the other guy? Soto, Machado, and there's one more guy. But if you're forced to pitch to these guys, that's different. But they're not. The Mets aren't going to be forced to pitch to these guys.
Cronenworth's the only other guy hitting the ball out there.
Yeah. Croner. Yeah. So
we're on the same page there, but there's no reason to take a chance and put Bassett out there and risk a game 3 when you can end it in 2.
Well, okay, so in that perspective, though, you have to make sure that you get Bassett on the page of him being in the playoffs too, which is why you put him out earlier DeGrom's been in situations like this before. Bassett hasn't, and Bassett's a good pitcher, and he needs to get that under his wing so he could go the next. I'm
not looking to get guys experience when the playoff wrapping up a playoff series is in sight. Let's move on to the next series. In the National League, we'll stick there. Phillies and the Cardinals. Cardinals kind of a trendy pick. I don't count the Phillies out of this series just because of their bats.
No, not at all. No, the pitching is actually picked up.
Wheeler and Nola are lined up to pitch games 1 and 2 here, and that's great for the Phillies. And I'm not confident that the Cardinal pitching is going to be all that good. Monty got traded from the Yankees for a reason. He would not have even been on their roster for the postseason. You can't, and don't tell me about how well he pitched for the Cardinals because that's irrelevant. But
you got to pitch who's hot, and that's and he's hot right now. And listen, this is gonna be a great series, but the Cardinals get a little bit of a to me they get a little bit more of the credit, and I think they have a little bit more experience that counts a lot, and they're gonna have a little bit more depth as far as the experience, those guys being there before. And that's going to help them. And right now they're on a hot streak. Their bats got hot and the pitching is doing well. So the Phillies have been trying to get it right to get into the playoffs. And who knows, that might hinder them now. So because they're not going to get any breaks. Again, this was the only break they got was yesterday. So.
Yeah, Kenny, don't be surprised. I mean, listen, emotion can carry you a long ways, and Albert Pujols' swan song here has helped the Cardinals a lot. And,
that's another thing. Though. These guys might be like waiting for the Gipper, you know what I'm saying?
I can give them a little edge here, but I'm going to pick the Phillies in this series.
You going with the Phillies?
I'm going with the Phillies in this series. I am.
In St. Louis?
I am. Two games to 1. 2 games to 1.
I'm going the other way. I think Philly is going to win it. I mean, the Cardinals will win in St. Louis against the Phillies.
Seattle, Tampa Bay.
Oof, that's going to be a hard.
It's going to be a tough one. Mariners cooled off a bit from where they were. They got another team that's fairly young. Their frontline pitching is pretty good, but if McClanahan and Rasmussen are healthy enough for Tampa Bay, and Glasnow can pitch deep enough, he was hurt most of the year and just got activated here a few weeks ago. He's going to start game 2. I think Tampa Bay at home with their playoff experience with some of those guys, I think will carry them through. Other than Rasmussen and McClanahan, what's his name? Here I am mispronouncing names again. They have a little bit of lack of experience, but I think look at Kevin Cash. I think it has the managerial chops to get them through this first round. I think they'll win this in 3 games.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's hot right now. As a team, they're playing a better team game. They play a better small ball game. I think that's gonna keep him in the game. Playing small ball with the steals, with the speed on the bases. I think they're gonna edge this one out, but it's still gonna be good because you're gonna see a lot of future stars that the Mariners have on the field and as well as some pitchers there. They had a couple guys that could pitch. So I don't think the Mariners are ready yet. I saw them play a few times already, but they're close. They're really close, and they just need a couple more players to build on that depth that they have on that team, that young team.
They've been getting better every year, and now they're in the playoffs for the first time.
Right.
And I think that they may have the longest drought in the major leagues for playoff lack of reaching the playoffs.
Yeah, and remember in 2019, before they made all those trades, they had a great team. They just, they were just too young.
I think this team needs this experience this year, and then next year, watch out for this team. The final game would be the Jays at the Cleveland team formerly known as the Indians. We've talked a little bit about this. The Indians' inexperience, they still got some good young players, plus Jose Ramirez, who is a veteran, been through these types of wars before. I think that type of leadership helps these kids. And Terry Francona could be a swan song. We really don't know. The Jays are certainly more talented if you line them up on paper, but you don't play the game on paper. I like the Cleveland to win this in probably 3 games.
Wait, so Cleveland plays Tampa and Toronto plays Seattle.
I got it backwards. Sorry. I mixed this all up. My bad. So I am going to still take. I guess in the other series, yes, I'm taking the Jays, right, because of the talent mismatched. I'm looking at the next series, which somehow they had penciled in this the team I just mentioned. So the Rays at the Guardians, it's the same kind of situation for me. I think the youth of the Indians, that leadership from Jose Ramirez and Terry Francona in this dugout, maybe a swan song. With his health issues, he could possibly step away after this season. I'm going to take Cleveland in this series
against Tampa.
Probably in 3 games. This game's in Cleveland against the Rays. Yes.
Yeah. So Tampa's really hot right now. Cleveland's beat them before. This is going to be a close game. I just don't feel like Cleveland has enough pitching. And Tampa has a better closing and middle relief. So I'm going to pick Tampa over Cleveland in Cleveland. And then we could move forward to the Toronto-Seattle game.
Toronto wouldn't. Oh, Toronto. Yeah. Well, again, I'm picking the Blue Jays there. So you want
Seattle, because Seattle plays, and Toronto's hot right now. Their bats are smoking, and their pitching is just. They have a well-balanced team right now. They have a young and well-enthused team, infused with energy. 5 guys are batting over 250. So this is gonna be a fun game. The Mariners don't have enough pitching. Toronto wins this one.
Yeah, Luis Castillo could pitch every game. I think they might have a chance, but
he can only pitch so much.
So that'll bring us to next week, and I don't know if we want to go too much deeper because I do want to get into some NFL, but I think the Yankees will prevail over the Guardians real quick because the series will be in progress when we are on next week, and I do like the Yankees in that series. I would like who's going to play in the other series? It would be we're calling the Rays against the Astros. I definitely like the Astros a lot. And then the National,
that'll be Blue Jays against the Astros.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
God, I'm all over the place today. Can't be. Yankees. Yeah. Oh, Yankees get the Guardians, right? Okay, my bad. Boy, I gotta have more coffee or something. Astros get the Blue Jays, right? And I still think same thing. I like the Astros a lot. We'll dive more into these series a little bit, even though they'll be in progress next week.
Yeah.
In the National League, Mets Dodgers is going to be a really good series. It's kind of going to depend. I think it behoove the Mets to wrap this up in 2 this weekend. But I like the Mets and I like the Braves in the other series against who did I pick to win that? The Phillies. So I like the Braves against the Phillies.
Yeah, and I see a great matchup in Tampa versus the Yankees. And I think that the Tampa will give the Yankees all that they have, and the Yankees will win that maybe. That'll be a close one.
But all games are canceled in the snow.
And then
we're going to get to this right now about.
I feel like the Astros will calm the bats of the Blue Jays.
Yeah,
with that pitching staff, and they're going to balance out again. Both of those games, the Yankees and Rays will go to the max, and so will the Blue Jays and the Astros will go to their max because those teams play off each other well. And the same thing, I feel like the Mets and the Dodgers, they played each other all year this year when they played each other, and it hasn't been like roses for either team. All roses for that's a good matchup. I think that's going to go to the deeper.
I think there'll be a 5-game series.
Yeah, that'll be 5 games, and then the Braves will be playing the Cardinals, and I think that's going to be a shorter series because the Cardinals don't have depth.
Well,
that's why I'm picking them up.
We'll dive more into that next week. Obviously, the next series, even though it'll be underway, we'll have a little advantage. Well, we did make some picks, so at least we aren't going to be looking.
Listen, Keith, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm excited. I'm going to be at the game tomorrow night for the Mets. But I'm excited for all these games as a fan of baseball. And, let's not get so excited about our picks, and let's just see what comes out because this is going to be a great playoffs, I believe. So,
I'm not. Look at anybody can make a pick. I mean, you still got to play the games, and
that's correct.
I'm excited to get to the Yankee series next Tuesday. So, as we switch to the NFL, real quick, so a proper good morning to some of you guys that have been in. Alan, good morning. Kenny, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning to you, CA. And CA, I guess we'll start where CA came in, and where we kind of started at the top. Last night's Thursday night football reminded why I got out of the hypocrisy of the NFL. So look I'm not sure exactly what that comment refers to. You can certainly elaborate if you want, CA, but this game, the offensive, how can anybody watch this? I'm not opposed to good defensive struggles, but this was just bad offensive football on both sides of the ball. And then there's a lot of screaming and yelling this morning about the Broncos play calling at the end of overtime. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I mean, I know Richard Sherman went off, reminding him of the Patriots-Seattle game, and I don't think Pete Carroll made the wrong call there either. You're expecting a run on 4th and 1. There's nothing wrong with throwing the ball. In fact, the play design was perfect because there was a guy wide open that Russell Wilson missed. So it was not the play call. It was the not making the play that was called effectively. But this game, I'm mad. It was just awful.
Okay, so not going to where you are at, for the eye test in anybody's eyes, this was god awful for sure. Oh. But if you're an NFL enthusiast and you're looking at this game, this is exactly what everybody asked for. This is what you want. You wanted parity. You wanted teams to have an opportunity to win, and both of these teams play with the roster that they have, with all these injuries and all this junk that's going on both ends of the spectrum for both of these teams, and they battled it out as ugly as it was, and you got the results. Listen, the AFC West is gonna be a tough division for those teams to get out of.
Broncos are terrible. Broncos are not even a factor. I said
you can't say that because the Patriots are playing just as crappy as the Broncos, and they've got a few wins. And you're okay about that, and you're okay with that.
I'm not okay with that. I'm upset my team is 1-3. The Broncos my team wasn't touted as a Super Bowl.
Oh my goodness, Keith.
Like the Broncos.
No, but you guys always stole the fact that you have the best coach out there, and that he's gonna take. Even with the team that they have, you still have a chance to the Super Bowl. That's all that ever comes out of New England's mouth, and that's exactly what's happening now. The same thing. Oh, the Buffalo Bills are Super Bowl. The Buffalo Bills have like almost lost. You
want to compare?
They've been losing players, and now
they're hacking with Belichick. Are you kidding me?
Listen, I think Belichick should retire and they should put him in upper management. But you're on another argument about that. But I'm talking about football as far as the AFC West is concerned. As far as the AFC West is concerned, the Broncos, even with this loss, will still be in competition for a playoff spot. because the Chargers aren't doing that well, the Raiders aren't doing that well, and then the Broncos aren't doing that well. They're all going to play each other, and it's going to be a mess. This is what we were all saying this was going to happen, and this is happening now. And now everybody's upset about the horrible football that's going on.
It would be a disaster all year, and everybody touted this team as the best team in the AFC West, for crying out loud. Not everybody, but many.
And it still can happen, Keith. It's still the season is almost coming to the middle of the season, almost.
They can't run the football. They don't. Russell Wilson's an old 32. They're not. This is not a good football.
Look, every week is something different. You're not going to see the same thing out of these. Russell Wilson wasn't looking like this the last 3 games. Russell Wilson's been up and down all these games that he's played. He hasn't been consistent at all. Yes, that is correct. But to say that he's awful is not even fair to him, because the season ain't even. This is the beginning of the season with a new team, with a young team. You saw the youth that Denver has.
On the play out there yesterday in overtime, their last play of the game, was he good or bad?
Gilmore, you're not going to give credit to Gilmore throwing himself at the ball? That's what he has to do.
I'm going to give it. I'm putting it on Wilson for missing a guy wide open in the flat. He would have caught. It would have been a touchdown. The game over.
Listen, it happens. It's a game of seconds, not a game of minutes. And we have as fans, we have the opportunity of watching things in slow motion, going back, going forward, and on these screens. These players don't. They play in the moment. So you play in the moment, you lose in the moment.
The guy opened on that play.
The Broncos lost. They made an okay call. They didn't want to go for the tie. Fine. That they're gonna eat it.
The call was right. The execution was awful.
Okay, you're okay. So you're okay with that. But then the other half of the NFL people, NFL fans watching this, who were gouging their eyes out, they weren't good with that. They wanted something else. They wanted a different result.
They plunge into the line for no gain, and they lose that way.
Come on, look, all of NFL has been like this for the last 4 weeks. I don't know what you guys are expecting. Like, what is it that you guys want? Like, what is it that the fan base wants when all of these teams are almost fairly matched?
How about
week in and week out?
Camps. You want to go back to that argument? How about we have real training camps and we don't use the first?
I've already said that they should get rid of preseason and do things differently, but that's not the way the NFLPA works, and that's not the way the NFL is working. So that's an argument that we could do every day, every night, and it's not going to change what's going on these on the weekends. It's not. Look, I mean, it's just, to me, it baffled my mind. Everybody's like, oh well, and then to say, oh, Kansas City is the best team in the AFC West. We don't know that yet. They've been playing the best football. No, they got beat by the Colts, who played yesterday, who won by field goals. So this is exactly what football should be if this is what you ask for, in parity. Everybody's got an opportunity now to make the playoffs. The Jets have an opportunity now, if they win a few more games, to be in the playoffs. The Giants, in a few games, if they win a couple games, they could be in the playoffs. They're not great teams, Keith. They're not great teams.
Well, nobody's great the first 4 games, right?
Hey, so what do fans want? Tell me what you as a fan, what is it that you want? Because this is what you asked for.
I can see after 4 games what teams are trending in a row.
No, you cannot. You cannot. No, because last year we had the Dallas Cowboys go 5-0. Everybody was like, "Oh wow, these guys got an opportunity to make the Super Bowl," because they were 5-0. And guess where they ended up?
I mean, again,
not in the Super Bowl.
Not everybody. I never once said the Cowboys were a Super Bowl contender last year.
Oh, the NFC East is the best. Dallas is doing great. 5-0, blah, 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 blah. That's what it is. This is NFL.
But
the NFL is making tons of money because of this.
Coach once said, who I will remain nameless here because he's dead to me. You are what your record says you are. And if you're 1-3 now, you're 1-3. You're not that good. The Patriots included are not that good.
And the Patriots still have a chance of making the playoffs.
You have a chance.
So right now, they still have a chance of making the playoffs.
Right. But right. I can tell you in 32 years, 23 teams have made the playoffs at 1-3.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, we can't go back and look at as far as 23 years because we're not living back then. We're living in today. We're living in what's going on in today's world. In today's world, the NFL's made it where anything can happen. And these are why these
many teams.
This is why Amazon paid that money for Thursday Night Football. This is why ABC and Disney's paying all the money for Monday Night Football. This is what it is, Keith. This is where we have to understand the fans.
Colored glasses right now and say that the Patriots have 4 winnable games coming up. No matter who plays quarterback for them, they could be 4-3. They could be 5. They could be 5-3 possibly.
It's possible.
It's not going to happen. They could be because they play the Lions, they play the Jets, they play the Browns, and I think they might play the Jets again. I don't know, but they got 4 very winnable games coming up here. And again, anybody could get hot. I agree, but right now, I can't see what one of these 1-3 teams can you say this team could turn it around and be a Super Bowl contender?
Well, the Broncos are one of them.
They're not 1-3, I don't think.
Well, no, they're not 1-3, but the Broncos are one of those teams that are playing horrible that can be in the playoffs.
Why? What evidence have you seen that they're any better than what they
have? You seen the Chargers play? Have you seen the Raiders play? These are the 2 teams that they have to compete with to get into the playoffs.
I've seen the Chiefs play, and I've seen the.
It don't matter. The Chiefs just lost to the Colts. The Chiefs lost to the Colts, the same team that just won in field goal kicking. They literally let the Colts win the game. Quit touting the Chiefs if the Chiefs lost to the Colts and the Colts are horrible.
Well, you're going to lose games. I mean,
I know, but now you're going to lose games. But if you're the best team, why are you losing to the Colts the way you lost to the Colts? If you're the best team,
God, the best teams will lose. Have a bad day.
Yes, they will. They will. So there's no best team out there. This is what I'm trying to get at. So I'm going to try to get people's minds out of the whole, this is the best team in the NFL.
If you've watched the games, you can't tell me the Chiefs and the Broncos are anywhere near the same level at all. Because
they got to play.
The Broncos look lost on offense last night.
I tell on any given Sunday, if the teams are well balanced and they don't have these injuries and they're doing what they can win. Anybody can win a game, and this is proven right now. We're watching an NFL NFL games and an NFL league that there's a team that's 3-0. There are a lot of teams with 3-0 that would have never been 3-0, in the last 2 seasons ever.
The Jets are better than Broncos. The Jets are better than the Broncos.
What happened? What if that's your playoff? What if that's your AFC playoffs? Are you going to be upset?
No, I'm going to be upset when my team doesn't make it, but otherwise, no. How would I be upset?
Look, everybody was down on the Bengals. All the Bengals, they went to the Super Bowl. Now they're terrible, but they just won a couple games, so now they're okay. I mean, come on. Everybody wants to see everybody win. Everybody wants to see everybody lose. This is what you want. Everybody asked for this. All the fans asked for parity. Now the fans got parity. Now the fans despise these terrible, horrible games. Back
up. I might go with CA here. The fans didn't want parity. The league wants parity. Not one fan ever said, I want to see a bunch of 8 teams. Well, we play 17 games, so that can't happen. But nobody wants to see parity as a fan. Nobody.
What are you talking about? Every fan wants is a chance for their football team to make it. And this is what you get.
They want their teams to be good and win Super Bowls. They don't want to have 8 teams that have a chance.
Not everybody can get to the Super Bowl. There's only 2 slots for that.
The league wants that, and they go to CA's comment. He's right. These owners want to fix everything, and they didn't. They invented the game, but they didn't. Kenny wants to see guys making millions perform like a pro. Yeah, I'd like to see that too. And
Kenny, there's guys everywhere in the world making millions of dollars, and you're not judging them. There's people on Wall Street. You're not going to their job saying, "Hey, why'd you swing that deal and not the other deal? You could have doubled your money, you could triple your money." They're making millions of dollars. So what? That's on them.
Robert, you can't say that name on my show. You're going to get banned, Robert. Just kidding. You're welcome, Robert from Sports Scope. Great show, guys. Check it out.
Yeah, I'll be on there tonight if you guys want to catch me again.
I think it's ironic that he knows the fat bastard that I'm talking about, but that's all right. I guess everybody knows him as that. Fans are people like Carlos, and they don't really know the true workings of the team. Well, none of us know the true workings.
It's business team. At the end of the day. You can put whatever team you want together, but at the end of the day, it's business. Look at Galladay. They signed him. He's sitting at home. He didn't make the trip to London because he don't feel like playing. So at the end of the day, It doesn't matter what you do, put a team together and what you do. At the end of the day, it's money. Money begets the situation.
Alan makes a good point. I mean, some of these games are predicated on, how the team you're playing is playing at that given moment too. he talks about the Chiefs beating Brady and Tampa Bay. I don't think Brady and Tampa Bay are going to the playoffs. I said that before.
Yeah, but you also said that the Chargers were going to make it to a Super Bowl, and the Chargers don't look like a Super Bowl team.
Who said the Chargers would make it to the Super Bowl?
You did. That's your pick.
No,
I mean, I'm sorry, no, LA.
I have
LA Rams. I'm sorry.
My
bad. That's on me. That's on me.
And I had the Chiefs.
Right city, wrong team. I'm sorry. But they both stink right now. So
I had the Chargers making a wild card, but that's it.
Yeah.
Not winning a game.
That's on me. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're also wrong about Dallas being 5-0 last year because Alan calls you out here. They lost 3 of their first 5 last year. So it is what it is. What are we going to do? Because I had the wrong wild card teams a second ago in baseball. So there you go. I guess we're in the same place here. So
Keith, name me 3 games last week that were great on Sunday. On Sunday? Yeah.
Let me take a quick look here.
I can tell you maybe 2 games, but and then the rest. Yeah.
I would say the Packers and Patriots was a good football game.
Nope.
There was a lot. That was a well-played football game.
It was well played, but
better than I thought. I thought my team was going to get blown out.
Yeah, I thought your team was going to get liberated too. You know what? They did play a good football game, but that's not a game that everybody sat down to watch.
Well, Saints and Vikings, but that game was at 9:30 in the morning, so no. Seahawks and Lions, 48-45. There's an exciting offensive battle.
Oh, my goodness. Kirk Cousins versus Geno Smith. And then Kirk Cousins got taken out, didn't he?
Giants had some interesting moments because they had played Saquon Barkley at quarterback.
Oh,
Eagles getting by the Jaguars.
That was probably one of the best games of the weekend.
Bills and Ravens. Bills come back from a 20-point deficit.
That's 2. Name another one, and we'll.
Geez, I just named like 4.
Those were not
the Broncos. They stink. How about the Chiefs over the Buccaneers?
All right, that's 3. That I'll give you 3, but the other few that you mentioned they were not good.
Well, the matchups were awful too. I mean, you got to who cares about the Falcons and the Browns, right?
This is what we're gonna get. If the owners are the ones that want parity, then they got it. And if the fans wanted a chance to win, their team to win, they got it.
And out there and say, I wish my team would be 8-8 every year and have a chance to go to the playoffs. That's not what they want.
No, of course not. But again, there's only 2 slots, and most of these teams are always lacking balance. So.
Cowboys are beating the Rams this week. He's sorry to disappoint. Listen, the Rams are not playing good, but as Carlos says, I'm not counting the Rams out after 3 games or 2-2 or 4 games.
In that division, you can't.
Jags Eagles wasn't bad. I think but the Eagles got way ahead in this game, didn't they? I think I kind of lost interest in that game. Kenny's all over you today. Who's watching the normal person? Who watches?
Oh, well, there's people who
in front of the camera.
Hey, look, Kenny, there's people who are watching these stockbrokers make moves for them in mutual funds and stocks. So that people watch, people are being watched no matter how much they're getting paid. If you're a millionaire, somebody's watching you make money.
Well,
so
if I'm being watched, I want to be paid then. I want to
exactly.
I want to be paid. That's all I care about. I don't know. We can go round and round. It is time now, 4 weeks into the season, that teams need to start showing whether they're good or whether they're bad. I can't pick one of these 1-3 teams that I can say these guys got a real chance. I will do it from my heart and say the Patriots do. I can still go through their schedule and find 9 wins at least. But I could also find 11 losses. It's possible.
Right. So the problem being 1-3 too is that you're playing from behind, trying to catch up. So that's a problem. That's another problem too, which becomes a winning mentality. Like what are you playing for now? Are we going to make it to the playoffs? Like, there's doubt that starts seeping in a lot of players and in a lot of coaching staffs. So that's probably 2 of the biggest issues is the mentality. And then also the emotion of wanting to play those games.
The team formerly known as the Redskins, I'm having trouble getting excited about my first place prediction. But
I know I picked them too, though. They had a great coach. Decent.
You're right. It could turn around here. I'd have to look at their schedule. I'm not going to do that right now.
Well, they'll win on Thursday. So
I think they still got a chance to turn it around. Carson Wentz plays like he's playing, they're not going to win. They might better play Heineke over there, in my mind.
And what's the sad part is that yesterday's game had more interceptions than Carson Wentz did playing at the Colts. So Matt Ryan.
Oh, I had the Jaguar game backwards. It was them that jumped off to a big lead. So what is we want Dallas.
Dallas would be another great spot to play Super Bowl. That's about it.
Alan's not going to have time to talk about the Rangers anymore, so we're going to get full-time Dallas Cowboys for a while.
Oh gosh,
I guess. Of these teams that are 3-1 and one undefeated team in the Eagles, which one of these teams do you trust the least? So let me name the teams: Buffalo, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Miami, Green Bay, Dallas, and the Giants.
Okay,
all 3-1 or better.
So I put Buffalo and Green Bay on the same sheet. I don't trust them. They'll make the playoffs, but I don't trust them. Yeah.
So after 4 weeks of those teams who's got the best chance of being the best team of those teams that are the best right now?
I don't know if you want to call them the best team, right? Because they all lost. That one loss was like pretty prominent, right? They didn't lose like great. They didn't lose, graciously though. So
see you later, Kenny. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but
when I mentioned about people watching their stocks and their mutual funds, hoping that the stockbrokers make money too.
Kyle Murray's life from childhood is a spotlight I use for the dilemma of what's happening to the game and for most other sports.
But look, CA, how Kyle Murray is and what kind of athlete he is, that happens in all sports in all generations. That's not generational. That's been happening since day one. The problem is that the social media now and spotlight is actually like, instead of staying away from those kind of people, as going to them, because bad news makes good money, right? So CA, what?
To his point, that's what's wrong with sports today.
And so
in general, and society in general.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like there've always been guys like that in sports since day one, and like they didn't always get the light, but right now Kyler Murray's a kid, and he's getting money, and
I really thought he'd mature this year, but
it takes more than a year to mature, man. Come on.
If he's not going to mature by now, he's not going to mature in my mind.
Look, Alan, I'm waiting for Philly to lose so I can stop hearing Jamie Pags talk about Philly like they're the next best thing since sliced bread, man. Like,
I didn't have them in the playoffs, so I'd like.
Yeah, I don't have them in the play. I had them maybe making the playoffs. I don't believe so. No.
No, let's switch gears a quick before we run out of time. Let's take a quick look at college football. And what games are you excited to see? Give me 3 games you're excited to see today, and give me a winner in each.
Game day will finally be in Lawrence, Kansas this year for the first time in ever, because Kansas has a football team. However, Keith, we talked about this Wednesday. It's possible that these horny frogs are going to go in there and pull an upset. Maybe. What say you, Mr. Keith Angle?
It's not an upset. They're a 7-point favorite. I love Tennessee. I love TCU this week at Lawrence, Kansas. It'll be exciting. Listen, it'll be a great experience for the campus to get game day there. I know Alan's excited about it. It's good for the Big 12. Kansas fans, don't get so excited because you're going to get your bubble bursted this week, and your coach is probably going to be coaching in Nebraska or Wisconsin next year. So
yeah. Look, Kansas fans, be glad and happy that you're having game day in Kansas. And I'm with Keith. I think this is going to be the day that you realize it's time to root for your basketball team, because you will not have a championship opportunity if TCU beats you.
It's a fun story, but
it's great. It's great. No, I mean, listen, they did good. They've been doing good. These kids are doing great down there. They're getting coached up. They're playing good. And it's good to see them Sports Illustrated. It's good to see them, get credit where credit's due, because sometimes that doesn't happen. It didn't happen for University of Central Florida when they were one of the best teams in the nation. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm excited, though.
Anything can happen. I think the number's a little big, to be honest with you. I like TCU a lot. I'm not sure they're going to cover this game. We'll see. TCU is rolling 670 yards offense against Oklahoma last week. So great game. Give me another one.
Let's see.
Your team's got to be in there.
The UT. Yeah, I don't like. I'm
And LSU, that's a tough spot. They're off.
I don't want to talk about that one because I think that LSU is in a like they're going through some things, but they always have enough talent on that team to be competitive. And I think people kind of forget that as much as they're going through changes that they won't be competitive against a team like UT. And I think that game's gonna be closer than people call it. Yeah. I think that UT being one of the best offensive powers this year in college football, I think they might get a little shook, but they'll win this game.
Is that game at night? If that game's at night, LSU, that's a tough place to go win at night in the
Bayou at the Mountain.
So. Yeah, well, I agree with Alan here. By the way, this game will be a fun game, and I think a good test for Oklahoma State on the road against Texas Tech. I'll give you. I like your pick of TCU Kansas. To me, that's the game of the day. It'll be interesting, even though Texas A&M's playing so bad. Maybe it'll be interesting to see how much Nick Saban wants to lay the wood to Jimbo Fisher in this game. It's still a primetime game, so that'll be a bit of an interesting game. And BYU in Notre Dame has some interest for me in Vegas. I think that'll be an interesting game. Notre Dame trying to right the ship after a bad start. BYU maybe the best of the outside of group Power 5 teams still, even with that loss to Oregon. I think that's got some interest for me as well as the Tennessee LSU game. I don't have an axe or a dog in that fight, but I like that game, and I think Tennessee will listen. Josh Heupel's doing one of the best jobs in the country turning that program around. Right.
And then the SEC, Georgia and Auburn. I don't think that'd be a big game. I think Auburn is done. They don't have enough in the tank. Georgia, might not be the team that they were last year, but I think they're going to win this game decidedly. So
see, I thought Georgia and Auburn was in that 3:30 window and on CBS, so maybe they're both in there.
Yeah, they're at 3:30, and then the Tennessee game is an afternoon game. It's at 12.
Is it okay? Yeah. Listen, Georgia, after last week's performance, Georgia better not let Auburn stay in this.
Yeah, you can't. No. I mean,
it's a bad football team. Harsin's already been fired. It's just a matter of when he doesn't go to work anymore.
Listen, if Auburn beats Georgia.
Listen, Georgia's going to fall out of the top 10.
Yeah, this is not the team to do it. I'm sorry, but.
Yeah, CA, I am not a Jimbo Fisher fan. I never have been. I have been riding him now forever. The guy has the best recruiting classes or one of the best classes every single year, but doesn't even sniff an SEC championship game ever. I don't know how long they're going to put up with him and what his buy. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure his $70 million is guaranteed. So it's going to be pretty expensive to let him walk away.
Where's Kenny now? We're talking about college football coaches. Where's Kenny now? Getting these coaches to get their millions?
Right.
Come on, man.
Kansas State, Iowa State. I'm interested in this game too. I kind of like the Cyclones at home here.
I wanted to say that, but I'm like, I don't know. Listen, Martinez, Heisman watch. What a player. I've been watching these games. I saw Kansas State the last two games. I've watched them twice. If Kansas State gets the ball first,
he's going to need some national TV exposure to get in that Heisman Trophy race. That's the problem. And
that's the problem. Yeah, but Martinez has been playing well. They're coaching him up well. He's been doing good for Kansas State. They got an opportunity to win that division. And Iowa State, that's a test for them right there.
If he played like this for Nebraska, Scott Frost might still have a job. And I will say this, unranked for the first time in about 30 or
the Red River Rivalry
8 years or something. The Red River Rivalry is always a fun game. This will be a fun game to watch, even though both teams are unranked and not playing very well in the Big 12 this year.
Who has more fun this year, alumni or the student base on this matchup?
Oh, it's probably a student base. Oh no, the alumni probably. I think they like to travel in for this game and have some fun. So, well, that's about all we got time for today. So, Carlos, it's been a quality hour. Sorry, I messed up those American wildcard matchups.
That's all right.
I was sitting here, I'm staring right at them. I don't know what the hell I was doing. So, my apologies. More coffee before we start next week. For Carlos, the Mad New Yorker, Keith Engel here for TGI.
I got to lay off the coffee.
Are you serious? We'll see you next Friday and be
Happy Friday, people.
middle of the Major
Enjoy
League.
your weekend of sports.
Out.